3. Dear Mom and Dad. "Hey," howled Harold Green early the next morning. "My shoes! There's something in my shoes! Someone put something in my shoes! Miller put something in my shoes! Chip! Chip!" Chip came bounding onto the scene. "What's going on around here? What's all the yelling about?" Harold held up one of his dripping running shoes. "Look at this! Look what Miller did!" "Miller!" bellowed the counselor. "What is this?" Rudy took the running shoe and examined it carefully. "Garbage," he diagnosed. "More specifically, an eggshell, an orange peel, and some unidentified slop, obviously from the mess hall." "All right, Miller," said Chip angrily. "You'll wash these sneakers." "Why do you immediately assume that I'm guilty?" asked Rudy in a hurt tone. Chip was taken aback. "Well, did you do it?" "Yes." "Then spill that stuff out and take the shoes over to the laundry. You hear me?" Rudy nodded. "They can probably hear you on the mainland." "All right, you guys," called Chip. "Hurry up and get dressed and go to breakfast. This morning we write letters home. Meet back here at the cabin after chow." "I'll be interested to see what Miller writes home," said Harold Green savagely. "I've never seen a letter written by a nut before." "Shut up," snapped Mike Webster. "That's enough," bellowed Chip. "Get moving." Rudy reached over and chalked another line on the wall beside his bed. 2, he counted. "Only 26 more," sighed Mike. "Barring any natural disaster," Rudy added, poker-faced. Chip was herding the other boys out the door. "Miller, Webster, hurry! You two catch up with us at the wash station." Rudy reached over and picked up Harold Green's pillow. "Would you please hold this pillowcase open?" he said to Mike. "What are you doing?" "Clone's orders," said Rudy righteously. "I was told to spill the garbage out of Harold's running shoes." "Yeah," said Mike, "but in his pillow?" "No one said where. I thought this was as good a place as any." "You'll get into trouble," warned Mike. "So I'll get another work detail and I'll haul a little more garbage. Anyway, the dump is the only place on Alcatraz where a guy can get any privacy." "Oh, all right," laughed Mike, holding open the pillowcase and watching the garbage drop inside. "Little Harold has a big mouth that needs shutting." "Precisely," Rudy agreed. "Dear Mom and Dad," wrote Rudy, "this place is terrible. Each day I am subjected to countless atrocities. The food is spoiled and poisonous, and the drinking water is contaminated, so there is an outbreak of typhoid. Our cabin collapsed last night in a typhoon, but don't worry, only one guy got killed. It's not all bad. I do have one friend named Mike. He's the one who pulled me out of the quicksand. I have to haul garbage every day, but there aren't too many wild animals at the dump, and I've only been bitten twice. Mr. Warden, the director, is very nice, and he has a real social conscience. He hires only desperate criminals as counselors. Our bunk counselor, whose name is Chip, is a reformed axe murderer on parole. He has red eyes and yells a lot and keeps an axe under his mattress. Tonight is really going to be fun. Our cabin hasn't been fixed yet, so we get to sleep in trees. I sure hope the typhoon doesn't start up again. I'll be safe and sound so long as Algonquian Island doesn't sink any further. Your son, Rudy. P.S. If this letter looks messy, it's because I'm writing it while being chased by a bear." Hovering over his letter-writing charges, Chip stopped beside Rudy's bunk and let out a bellow of rage. "Miller, what is this?" He ripped the letter out of Rudy's hand. "Typhoid? There's no typhoid here, and no atrocities," he read on. "A typhoon? Are you crazy? Criminals? I'm not an axe murderer. I've never even wanted to kill anybody. Until now. You don't have to sleep in a tree. Nothing happened to the cabin. Bears? There aren't any bears on the whole island. Miller, you tear this up and write a proper letter. Are you interfering with Canada Post? Asked Rudy. Look, Miller, pleaded Chip, this stuff is all lies. It'll upset your folks. No, it won't, said Rudy. They don't get upset that easily. They know me. Listen, said Chip in exasperation, grabbing Harold Green's letter from his hand. This is what a real letter is supposed to sound like. Dear Mom, I'd be having a great time if it weren't for this real nut in our... The counselor's voice trailed off. Well, this then. He grabbed another letter. Dear Mom and Dad, having a great time. The weather is good. Don't forget to feed my chameleon. Send money. Love, Adam. His eyes shone triumphantly. Now that's a real letter. Mine is more creative, objected Rudy. You're going to mail that? Cried Chip. You can't send that. I'll kill you. Threats of violence, said Rudy, making notes. Miller, said Chip in a lower tone, listen to reason. Tear up that letter. Don't you realize the camp could sue you for all those lies? Rudy obligingly tore up his masterpiece and sat down to write another. Attaboy. You write your folks a nice letter. They deserve it. They're spending a lot of money to send you here. And here I thought I was doing time, said Rudy mildly. How's this? Chip took the letter and read it. Dear Mom and Dad, how are you? I am okay. This certainly is a camp, all right. Only 12 more days to visiting day. Your son, Rudy. There, now, that's much better, he said with a dubious frown. Okay, everybody, finish up those letters. We're going to run the obstacle course, and we're going to win. Miller won't, sneered Harold Green. Miller certainly won't, agreed Rudy. Why? Bawled Chip. You need the exercise and excitement. You know I don't run, said Rudy. Besides, Mike and I are going to arts and crafts. We are? Whispered Mike. Aw, no, protested Chip. You can do that kind of stuff when it rains. It's raining, said Rudy firmly. What do you mean raining? The sun's shining. It doesn't have to be raining to be raining. Chip scratched his head for a moment. Then, what about you, Webster? He asked, undaunted. Why don't you come along and have some fun with us? No thanks, said Mike, shuffling uncomfortably. Let them go, said Harold in disgust. They'd only ruin everything anyway. Green, you've got a big mouth, said Chip. Agreed, said Rudy. You too, Miller, snapped the counselor. Let's go, guys. We're due on the obstacle course. Miller, Webster, we'll see you two at lunch. And he jogged off with the rest of the boys trailing along behind him. What do you want to do arts and crafts for? Asked Mike, mystified. We're not going to arts and crafts, Rudy explained. We're going to build a dam. A slow smile of understanding spread over Mike's face. What the heck happened to Miller and Webster? Asked Chip, looking around the dining room. They're 20 minutes late for lunch. They're probably finger painting, sneered Harold, or basket weaving. Isn't that what they always do with nuts? Shut up, Green, said Chip, standing. I'm going to find them. As if on cue, Rudy and Mike walked in the door, 2 blobs of mud. With every step they took, they rained filth down on the clean wood floor. Miller, cried Chip in horror. What happened to you guys? It gets a little messy in arts and crafts, offered Rudy. What are you building? A dam? Mike started visibly. How did you know? He blurted. Don't get smart, Webster, snapped Chip. That'll cost you another day's work detail. I asked you what you're building. A salate, Rudy replied. A good one. Chip's face went blank. A salate. That's nice. All right, you guys, go and clean up and grab some lunch. Make it fast because we're going swimming later. Well, said Rudy, Mike and I thought we'd go back and do some more work on our salate. But you have to pass the swimming test, protested Chip. If you don't get your badge, you won't be allowed to go canoeing or water skiing." "I think I can live with that," Rudy decided. He turned to Mike. "You?" Mike nodded sheepishly. "I'd rather go back to arts and crafts." Chip looked pained. "All right, just for today. Now go and get cleaned up." On their way to the wash station, Mike turned to his companion. "Rudy, what on earth is a salate?" Although he did not smile, Rudy's poker face assumed an expression of deep satisfaction. "It's French," he explained. "It means dirt." For the next 10 minutes, the wash station rang with Mike's laughter. Mike waded through the hip-deep muddy water of the creek and heaved himself up onto the grassy bank where he lay panting. "Rudy, it can't be done. It just can't." Rudy surfaced and spat a stream of water in a long arc. "This is impossible," he gasped, clambering up to join Mike on the grass. "The water must be over a meter deep in the center." "There isn't enough brush and mud on this whole island to dam that up," said Mike. "It can't be done," he repeated. "Oh, yes, it can," said Rudy. "But it would take months, and I'm planning to be out of here long before 1 month." "How?" asked Mike. "We just decided we can't dam up this dumb creek." "My new idea is simplicity itself. We just take off, that's all." "Great," said Mike sarcastically. "One day we just pick up and walk away. I suppose it never occurred to you that this miserable place is an island." "We take a boat," Rudy explained patiently. "That's stealing." "No, it isn't. When we're through with it, we'll set it afloat back to camp with a note explaining the situation, which is, we're going home." "Rudy, that's crazy," argued Mike. "Even if we do get across the lake, we're still nowhere. It's 200-odd kilometers to Toronto." "Look," said Rudy, "our resident clone won't let me write to my parents the way I want to, and the warden sure won't let me use the phone to call them to come and get me. The only way is to get off this rock and get to a phone on the mainland." "We don't even know where the nearest town is," protested Mike. "We'll find it. How far can it be? Alcatraz must get its supplies from somewhere close by." "What about our parents? When the warden informs them we're missing, they'll go nuts." Rudy shook his head. "If we leave early enough, we'll have phoned home long before his cloneship even knows we're not in camp." He paused. "Anyway, suit yourself. I'm going tomorrow." Mike pictured himself at Algonquian without Rudy to talk to. "I'll go," he said quickly. "All right. Tomorrow before dawn, we borrow a motorboat and we're off." "I guess so," agreed Mike unhappily. The two sopping, muddy figures began to walk in the direction of the compound. A pair of beady little eyes watched them go. When the intruders had disappeared, he came out of the underbrush, a lone beaver. His lodge and dam at the far end of the lake had been destroyed by cottage builders. For nearly 3 weeks he had been searching the lake for a site suitable for a new home, and here was a dam already started. "Hey!" shouted Harold Green at lights out. "My pillow! There's something in my pillow! Someone put something in my pillow! Miller put something in my pillow! Chip! Chip!" Chip burst onto the scene. "What's all the yelling about?" "Miller put garbage in my pillow." "Miller!" howled Chip, waving the soiled pillowcase. "Did you do this?" "I would be the logical suspect," admitted Rudy. "You'll sleep without a pillow for this. Go hang Green's pillow out on the line to air and give him yours. And another day's work detail for you." "I'm not having fun," warned Rudy. "You'll start having fun when you join the group activities and stop making trouble," growled Chip. He turned to the rest of the group, all in their beds. "Now you guys go to sleep right away. I've got a counselor's meeting." "Sorry I'm late, guys," said Chip as he wearily entered the mess hall where the rest of the counselors were assembled for the meeting. "I've got a real doozer of a cabin this month." "Me too," exclaimed Ralph Deacon of Cabin 3. "They never go to sleep. They just talk all night. You're lucky, sighed Chip. All mine want to do is fight. I've got this kid Miller. He won't do anything. All he does is stuff garbage in other kids' things. I don't know how you stood him, Pierre. He and his buddy spent all day in arts and crafts. No, they didn't, said Pierre. Arts and crafts was closed today. Chip turned purple. See what I mean? Now I'll never know where he was. He and Webster came back covered in mud and told me it was messy in arts and crafts. This is what I have to put up with. I'm the only person. Calm down, soothed Dave, the swimming coach. The poor kid's probably just homesick. That's what it sounds like to me. I thought so too at first, moaned Chip, but now I'm beginning to wonder. You should have seen the letter he tried to write home. All he ever says is, I don't swim, I don't run, I don't anything. He's driving me crazy. Give him a chance, said Jack Tyler of Cabin 9. A few more days and he'll be having fun like everybody else. But where were they? Where were they when they were supposed to be at Arts and Crafts? Where?